Hi guys, I'm Nicola McKenzie, founder and mortgage advisor here at Dunham McCarthy Mortgages. And in today's video, I have a very special guest, Martyn Balm, who is the National Land Director at Regal Residence. And he is here to tell us all about self-build projects. So if you've always thought about building your own property, your own home, then make sure that you stay tuned because Martyn is here to tell us the ins and outs. So guys, before we get into the content of today's video, if you enjoy it, then make sure that you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you never miss a future video upload. So Martyn, if I have always dreamt of building my own property, doing a self-build project, where would I start? Because I feel like that's probably the most daunting aspect, is getting started for most people. So where would I start?
Well, it is very daunting because there's so much to be involved with, and a lot of it involves professional people. You can't do it all yourself, obviously, so therefore you have to be prepared to spend money on architects, on even perhaps finding sites. You might need a land finder. There are a number of stages to go through, and it's not the easiest thing to do. Most people complain they can't find the land. Then the next thing they complain about is they have problems organising the finance because it's special finance to build houses. You can't just go and get a mortgage because there's nothing to secure the loan against, because obviously it's a growing debt stroke growing value. Yeah, absolutely. So I think that if I was starting again, because I've been doing it now for a long time, I've built a lot of houses myself. I've built houses for other people. I've acted as project managers, funders, organising the funding and so on and so forth. You just have to take the view that you've got to keep going forward. You can't stop. So once you've pressed the button to find the land, the next question is, I need the money to buy the land, and then you just got to keep rolling forward and talk to the right people. So
in terms of finding the land, because that would be step one.
Yes.
I'm just going to drill down. Where would you start? Because I'm thinking, if I'm trying to find a plot of land, what would you advise in that scenario?
There are a number of land providing companies on the internet. Estate agents generally have a land department. What you have to remember about estate agents, and I'll probably get shot for saying this, but they have two kinds of land sales attitudes. There's what we call off-market, and then there's on-market. On-market's the product you'll find on Rightmove and all those other kind of places, the sort of property search engines. And then the off-market is where the owner of the land doesn't really want people to know that he's selling the land, but nonetheless it's for sale. So you have to be careful how you ask the estate agent whether he's got off-market sales, because they tend to get a little bit upset because you're implying that everything doesn't go to the market. But the truth is, a lot of it never comes to the market. It's sold to developers who are ready to do deals at the right kind of money. The next question is, okay, what's going to make me as a land guy want to do business with you is, I want to know you've got the cash.
Of course.
I want to know that you're funded, that you can actually build this thing, because I'm going to sell you to the landowner. And because it's all about confidence, and the landowner needs to know that you're going to be able to complete on the deal at the right time.
Nobody wants a time waster.
Exactly, because if you've got a time waster, you could lose 4 or 5 months, and the market moves fast in property.
Yes.
And so what you don't want to do is lose the opportunity for their clients by effectively bringing somebody that's not sort of worthy of the deal because they can't actually afford it. So the first job really is to work out what it is you want to do, sort out your money, Nikki, and move it forward in that direction, because money talks. It really does talk in land buying.
And the same goes for property buying in general. Yeah. I always encourage viewers to make sure that they come to see us for an agreement in principle early on, before you start any viewings. You need to make sure that you're not just wasting the agent's time, but your own time, your own effort. So I completely agree. Okay, on the money side, that brings me on to my next question. How much money, if I'm thinking of a self-build, I want to build my own home, what is the minimum that I would need in terms of capital to get that ball rolling?
Okay, without talking about total specifics, I would suggest that, if you're looking for a plot that's worth, say, £300,000, you need a couple of £100,000 in your back pocket, purely because you've got to pay consultants, you may well have to go through a planning process if there's not planning on it, or there's partial planning like outline planning, and which means then you need to bring a product forward, which does cost money. But then again, some of the package house suppliers can help you with that.
Yes.
But I would say you need that kind of money, and then we move in then to status.
Yeah.
And there are ways around that, in as much as, and Nikki will be more clear on this than I am because I'm not able to give financial advice, but it's sort of pretty obvious that if you've maxed out on the home mortgage, it's going to be very difficult to buy a plot of land with a loan with a mortgage. So you have to look at the lending side in a different way. You may well have to set yourself up in a different way so that you can actually fit the financial boxes that you've got to climb into.
Definitely. Okay. So what would you say, what are the stages of Selfbuild if you were to talk us through?
Well, let's presume for a minute then we've got over the money issue.
Yeah, let's say that's
and
sorted.
we've found ourselves a nice plot.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would suggest, purely because it makes sense, that you buy a plot with an outline permission at the very least. And that what that means is that the plot has a permission for a house, a certain size. It could be 1,500 square feet, 2,000 square feet, i.e. a 3 or 4 or 5 bedroom house. It might be a bungalow, who knows? But it's got to have an outline permission, because if you're going to have to apply for planning permission, your dream could be 5 years away, because the length of time it takes to get planning. Planning process today is very, very slow. COVID has sort of put a lid on speed factors and so on and so forth. And again, there are ways around this. This is something that we'll talk about maybe later on in this presentation.
Presumably, outline planning, the cost of the land, it's going to come at a premium. Well, the privilege of that.
Exactly.
Presumably.
The outline planning will actually dictate the value of the land, more likely. I don't really want to get into that if I can help it, because it's one of those ones that become arguments that become slightly subjective. But generally, if it's got outline planning and it's for a 4-bedroom house, then the next thing to do is to design your house, because you've bought the land, you've got a permission. So what we need to do now is design the product that's going to go on there.
Yep.
Okay. So once we've done that, then we're going to start involving maybe an architect, maybe a planning consultant who has skills in the architectural world.
Yeah.
The other alternative is to, and I won't name names, but go to a package type company, a company that sells timber frame houses. There's a lot on the internet. They have typical examples of the kind of house that you could have, and more often than not, they'll have an in-house design department, and they will help you as part of the kit price, because you're going to go probably for a timber frame house in this context of what I'm saying. They'll have, and we'll talk about the difference between timber frame and brick and block in a second, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
But they will have an architect department, or typical houses that you could build in a sort of a brochure or a sort of portfolio of typical properties. And then what often happens then is you'll say, well, I like this, but could I have this with a bit of that, or could we extend this house out sideways? Can we have a granny annex because my mother's coming to live with us, and so on and so forth.
Sure.
And
so
they'll
you can
help you
make
with
it
that.
a lot more custom, but you're still getting the support of people that know what they're doing.
Exactly. Now, a lot of them, again, it's worth asking the question, because if you go to a timber frame house supplier, say, then it's highly likely that they will have connections with people who will help you build it. Because I'm assuming in this presentation that you're not a builder.
Yes.
Because it's your dream home. You might well be an accountant or another kind of occupation, and not, in other words, not in the building industry. So we're going to assume that you don't know too much about the sort of technicalities of building houses, so therefore you're going to be leaning on people. And the worst thing you can do is to spend too much money on consultancy, because at the end of the day, you need to be dealing with people who are actually doing it for a living, in terms of they're physically building the houses. They understand what their house that they have designed as a timber frame will do, and what can be changed inside it. You're not trying to reinvent the wheel. And normally you get that inside the kit price. So that's helpful, because they want to sell you the kit, you want to buy the kit, therefore they have add-on benefits that get you to the point where you can actually build the house that you want.
So if we talk about timescales then, Martyn,
Right.
typically how long will a sale? I don't know, it's going to vary, of course, but on average.
Really, a house shouldn't take much more than 6 months to build. It really shouldn't.
Okay. Wow.
You know, you've lined everything up, you've done your order for your frame if you're going to go timber frame. If you're going to go brick and block, then you really do need to line up the brickies, because at the moment they are they're short supply. There's not, you know, they've got a lot of work on. They can command a lot of money for what they do. So you need to line up those trades, get the infrastructure itself built first quickly, and then at least you're in the dry. And then you can, then if you have to slow down the build, you can. You don't want to be in the wet and slowing down.
So what pitfalls and challenges would you say for somebody thinking about self-build? What should I be aware of going into this? Okay,
that's a really good question. And I think the biggest problem, it was the first problem I ever had when I built my first house, is the ground.
Okay.
The ground is always an issue, because there's a couple of reasons why the ground is frightening. One is nobody really knows, we'll talk about this in a minute. Nobody really knows what's in the ground, and you really don't know if your ground worker's telling the truth. You know, and so here's 400 tons of extra concrete to fill, and this happened to me, fill in a cesspit which they dug up by mistake. Was it true or wasn't it? I don't know. It was full of concrete when I got there, you know, 11 grand later. So, you know, seriously, so you have to, the ground is the place. Once you're out of the ground, it's a relatively easy set of numbers.
So get a survey.
So you do a ground survey. That ground survey will tell you the kind of the foundations that you will require. And you can hand that over to the ground worker and say, right, it says strip foundations, which are basically, when you look at a site, you'll see these sort of little trenches built, and they're usually about 1 metre deep and 600 mil wide, and they'll 3/4 fill that with concrete, and that's it, your foundations are done. But you don't chance that one. Don't do the trick where, oh, we'll go there with a digger and we'll check it out, because you don't know the answer.
Sure.
Get a ground survey done. It'll cost you a couple of thousand, but it's done properly. Yeah. And you can sell it. If you decide you don't want to build the house in the end, it's a worthwhile thing to have in your collection of documents.
Okay, very useful. So, Martyn, can you then give the viewers a bit of an idea on just a general quick summary? What are the benefits of a self-build compared to getting the new build from a developer builder?
That's a really good question. Well, the obvious answer to that is that you theoretically building something that you've always wanted, always dreamed of. It's got the big patio doors at the back. It's got a wonderful sort of self-standing bath, for argument's sake. It's got a rainfall shower in there, which you can't get with the local builder. It's painted the colours you want it to be. The floor finishes are exactly how you want them. You may well have other goodies in there, like you've spent extra money on making sure the property is really well insulated to reduce heating bills, and you might have put batteries in there to help with the cost of electric.
So tell us more then, Martyn, about the self-build schemes that you're involved with. How can you potentially help some of our viewers?
Well, as a business, Regal Residence has got a lot of very interesting projects going on at the moment. Namely, we work with single dwellings, luxury homes, for argument's sake, right through to, in terms of the self-build, right through to whole sort of little cul-de-sacs with sort of 25, 30 houses in them, where they're all custom build, we call them. We don't let people do self-build effectively, because the self-build and custom build are two different worlds.
Yeah.
Okay. Self-build is where you build it yourself.
Yeah.
Custom build is where you pay somebody to actually build it for you. We promote both, and we're always on the lookout. We looking for plots every day. We're onto all the planning portals from the top of Birmingham right the way down through London to the east of England, right across the southwest, and every day we inspect every planning portal to see if there are any land deals that we can pick up for our client base and sell into the market. Yeah. We're always picking up land. We've got some very nice schemes and possible schemes out there. Okay,
that sounds very exciting. So if you are looking for land, whether it's for a self-build project, custom build, then Martyn's the man?
give me a call.
And I will put links in the description below as to how you can get in touch with Martyn.
Thank you.
And with Regal Residents as well. So Martyn, thank you so much for your time today. I think that has provided a wealth of information for our viewers.
Thank you.
I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you have, then make sure that you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you never miss any future uploads. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.